back. How are you doing?
Sing the song of salvage, and
Right?
I sing it very well. It's a tune I'll keep on singing
It's my
till
son.
I cast my lasting spell.
His only song.
Watch the magic happen as we do it once again. A pile of trash that was a home comes back to hold new friends. Upwards from the ashes, arise and take new form. No matter what the sins you've seen, neglect, abuse, or scorn. We'll honor all your pieces, yes, your very heart and soul. Preserving all your history, respecting what our goal. We'll create a tiny village from what others would have burned. A tiny Texas village where survival can be learned. Let's build a house to last 10 lives, not simply 1 or 2. Trees that live for centuries, so will our houses too. I sing the song of salvage, and I sing it very well. I know within my heart these houses have a soul. And I sing the song of salvage, and I sing it very well. It's a tune I'll keep on singing till I cast my lasting spell.
This is my son. Only song he ever did. All by himself.
Our ancient trees reach tall and wide to block the sun
It's my
above.
poem.
They shaded and protected all of nature with free love. If by man's hand were slaughtered, yes, regardless of their age, without respect and dignity, cut up and hauled away. Houses, buildings, ships, and more. Our trees are trapped within their walls. In prison, they have done their job. Please listen to my call. Why cast them into landfills once these structures have to die? Insanity and madness just makes me want to cry. Save them, cleanse them, bring them out, expose them to the light, and give them the respect they're due, and give them a new life. None will ever grow again to match their height and age. Centuries to grow a tree should not be thrown away. Its beauty will be loved by all who see its luscious grain. It has a strength unmatched by any speed-grown woods today. Use the gifts that we have in hand. Let Mother Nature rest. Give back respect to salvage wood. It has survived the test. God did his best, he did it right. Respect his work as I. Waste not, want not, make it last. Create a brand new life. From trees to home to eyesore, abandoned by all men.
This is what we
Does
should
not
be
mean
doing.
resurrection. Can't prevent a wasteful end.
Our
See what
lives,
salvage can
our
create
towns.
with love and skillful care. A home to last 300 years.
So
A
much.
lifelong new career. Become a salvage miner. Dig out and save the souls. Become a salvage builder. Create the tiny homes. Become a salvage hunter. Find and save the best we can. Let's educate the people, and they'll join us to the end. I sing the song of salvage, and I sing it very well. Because it lasts for centuries, there'll be much more to tell. Sing the song of salvage, and I sing it very well. Because it lasts for centuries, there'll be much more to tell.
So these are just pictures. Houses. Houses that were created out of salvage, out of trash. Beautiful houses. In most parts of the world, they'd be considered mansions. In America, they're considered tiny. They're not made out of sheetrock. They're not gigantic, gargantuan, ghastly, empty, white. They're full of love. Their wood's 1,000 years old when it was cut. Still good. Good for another couple hundred years. And why do we throw it away? So we can have new stuff. In most parts of the world, what I have in storage right now that I'm about to distribute, anywhere in the world I can possibly send it, that people will go ahead and meet the qualifications and agree to ship it and build with it. This can be the islands in the Pacific, the Virgin Islands, Haiti. It can be Africa on the coast. It can be down to Michael Tellinger's groups. It can be all the way down in South America. It can be in Antarctica. It can be anywhere that we can ship wood. Antarctica is probably not a great place, but that they're going to be doing a village of something that I can send an outpost to make them all around the world. I can't depend on America to solve a problem that's a global issue. I wasn't born in America. I was born in Germany. I'm American blood. I had American parents, but my parents, they came to America 3 generations before. There's no Americans hardly left. We all came from Europe or someplace and hung out here for a while, long enough to call ourselves Americans. In a country that isn't even as old as houses all over Europe are older, 3 times as old as America. It's a concept. It's a democracy that's supposed to have worked. But it was also agreed that if it broke down, we're supposed to be able to fix it. We're trying to figure out how to fix it. And I don't want you all out there in the rest of the world to think we're not trying to fix it, because some of us inside of it, we're not real happy. And I apologize for some of the stuff that our leaders have done and they're doing. And frankly, I can't do much about that. But what I can do, this is the 10th anniversary of my son dying in Paris, France. He made that song before he left. My commitment is not over. But what he allowed me to do was to give all this material away. All those kids, those people, all around the world. He was on a wolf program, going out and trying to help people do permaculture in France, in Spain. He was gone for about 1.5 years, never came back. Well, he came back. I had to go back and fly to Paris and have him cremated after seeing him at the morgue in Notre Dame. Pray you never have to bury your own child. Or worse, burn him up so you can bring him home in ashes. And have him put the bomb sniffer on him. Make sure you're not sneaking a bomb into the country. It was a bomb. But it was a bomb for me. So when you start to rebuild your personality at 55 years old, when you rebuild your body, when you go back to being 29 so you can maybe live the life your son didn't live, what would you do? I'd go back and write that book that I came to Texas to write so many years ago. What did Darby start out to do? What do you start out to do in your life? What's your dream as a child? What's your purpose? How fast is your clock ticking? How much time you got left? Well, it depends on how good you take care of your vessel. Gong, I call it, in one little instructional bit of video. Video is something you can go ahead and transmit out into the world in digital form, and it lives forever. Unless you get cyber zapped, censored, castrated, guillotined. But we're just writing a fantasy book, so why should anybody want to guillotine us, right? We're just a fantasy character. A talking head in a book called Darby, in the book of Wibblery and Wub. Now, those of you who got my newsletter, most of you who did not, but I have a newsletter. And that newsletter went out. I posted it on the Facebook site. They won't show it to anybody. Maybe 100 people out of 72,000 followers. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to the world. Doesn't do any good to go to America. So my newsletter just happens to go out to Australia, New Zealand, the Netherlands, and Germany. And, I've already had more people open up the newsletter in other countries than actually got to see, and probably likely are seeing this right now in America. Isn't that amazing? Literally. Isn't that something else? They're reading the newsletter. They know they can get on there, go on the websites right now and see videos that most Americans have never seen. 58 Americans have seen some of those videos that talk about America. That's why they can't see them. Because in America, we just go ahead and make it look like you're on there. And we let you look at your and see, wow, I'm on there. Look at, they're showing me. Oh, I must be getting some action. No, you're not. Hey, Tracy. I'm a poet too. Can't make money being a poet. Can't make money being a painter. Can't make money being a writer. Luckily, I made it with money, so I'm not doing this for money. I'm just doing this because I want to give away millions of dollars to go ahead and create the rest of this book. So the difference is, right, Tracy, here's a writing. Okay, this is going to be fun. We'll have a little conversation on this. Guess what? As a writer, do you know what a quantum story is? A quantum story. This is actually a scientific study around the world by professors. They're trying to figure out why and how a story starts to change reality, manipulate reality, cause it to alter and become something totally different by virtue of people believing something and acting in certain ways. And by virtue of that, the course of things change. The difference between war and peace, between negotiating diplomacy versus just killing somebody for the heck of it, calling it good. So the idea behind this is that we want to go ahead and share the idea of a global virus that everybody could get that would give us herd immunity to war, and peace becomes the product of that because nobody wants war, so everybody wants peace. And that's what Darby comes to the world to bring. Now, this is, of course, the ultimate story of failure. And the idea behind it is how spectacular can the failure be? And so I'm determined, thanks to Brad Cattell donating all these materials to give to the world, we're going to make it the most spectacular failure ever written into reality. How's that happen? Well, you get these Pure Salvage outposts, or little meeting centers and greeting centers where everybody gets together in their own community and morphs it into what they need it to be. Whether it's a bird sanctuary in one case, or whether it's a elders care center, or it might be where pastors or what might have been spiritual people who retire and have no other retirement, they get together, and that's their little place where they grow food, and they get old together and they share, but they don't go out and kill other people. It's all these are peaceful enclaves where wisdom is transferred to the youth through these Pure Salvage outposts, where we have tools and the means to teach life skills. You know, like Jesus had a daddy, and Daddy Joseph, he was a carpenter. And carpentry with no power tools was a very honorable profession, in spite of the fact it didn't make necessarily a lot of money. You weren't rich, but you always had a chair and a table. You always had food to eat because you could trade your skills. You always had a little tiny house, even if you had to make it out of trash, what seemed like trash. Because really, as long as it keeps your baby and your wife and your family dry, keeps your dreams intact, gives you hope, and allows you time to go out and grow food in your fields, in your permaculture, in your world, trying to fight volcanic ash and earthquakes and all the disasters that might be in your way. A small village, an enclave of like-minded people that could help protect each other. These are called Pure Salvage outposts, or basically embassies for what? A world union of beings dedicated to peace. I don't care if it's a Muslim, and I don't care if it's Christian. I don't care. That's not part of it. It's part of it. We all got to get together here. We all got to get along. Be friends. Get the leaders out of the middle that are greedy and want war, and all of us friends get together and somehow, in these very dark times ahead, find a path without creating war again and again and again, which always happens whenever we go into these phases. It's going to get hard. It's going to get tight. Floods, cold, all these things that are being used to maybe turn everybody against each other. Coffee, of course, because this is late at night, but hopefully I'm going to reach some of you people that I just got newsletters out to that are actually looking at the newsletters. So I know you're there because you're opening up newsletters all over the world. The Netherlands. Oh, I have one trolley guy that's over there in the Netherlands. He usually hacks on me pretty good if he gets on here. He might be on tonight. But yes, the idea behind a quantum story is that you get involved. Tracy, for example. Let's just say, for example, you're part of an enclave that gets some of these free materials and puts these houses up. And you put up an outpost. And you're one of the writers that helps tell the story of how that outpost became a success. and what it took, because I don't know what it's going to take in every place. Different groups are going to have different ways of forming, and I guarantee you, anytime you see a light shine, you will see mosquitoes and bugs that bite show up. Not just butterflies. Not just moths that don't bite. Pretty little things. No, you'll also get ugly bugs. Venomous bugs. You don't want those bugs in your village. How do we keep bugs like that out of our village? So I've been doing these little videos, and they're all associated with this newsletter I just sent out. And what I've effectively done, and it's never been done before, is to create a cartoon book that any child could read of any age in any country based on a very few words, 2 root words. These words go back almost, as one cartoon says, pre-Sumerian. Yeah. These go back across the cosmos. Just a root word. You can make it with a little pencil or pen or Wib and Wub. Wub is energy of soul. It's a world union of beings. It's an intercosmic society of worlds that have already found this peace, that have already enabled them to travel across the globes and across the universe, and now they may be visiting us. They're beings on this planet. Supposedly, you're going to find out through disclosure. Right? I'm just a crazy guy on the fantasy world of Wibbly and Wub. So don't you worry about contesting and say, oh, he's just full of crap, because you don't have to. I'm fantasy news. So you got real fake news, and you got that's condoned fake news, and you got fake news, which is the not maybe condoned or whatever news that you still don't know if it's real or not, and then you got totally fantasy news. I'm on the fantasy news side. There's not many of us because we have no credibility. So that's why it's a fantasy book about a fantasy person who did fantasy things like give away millions of dollars in real materials that can't get taxed because they're just trash. So it's kind of a fantasy. And people build houses out of trash that can't be taxed because they're just portable buildings. And if they build them over holes in the ground in places like Texas, holes in the ground can't be taxed as residences. And therefore, you can't be taxed to live in a structure. Not a bad plan. And you build out of trash. So it's mostly human energy and some screws, some nails, some insulation. You might have to get a few things, but otherwise, just salvage. Now, it's being written with words. And the words put seeds in your mind. And your mind causes action and passion. And next thing you know, voila, there's a house for you. And maybe 5 others as part of a village to do good, to bring all these good people together, so that if you wanted to raise a child and you wanted to have a really nice, peaceful family, and you don't have one, or you have one you want to be able to make a homestead, and you want to have others come in and help them out and teach them how to grow food, well, that's what this is about. And imagine that there's enough material sitting right now in warehouses to create at 5 houses per starter. That's a seed pack. Seed pack, you grow 5 little tiny houses. One's maybe a 12 by 20. And then the other one's like the ones on the Salvage Texas as examples. People come from all over the world to Salvage Texas, to Fantasyland, to stay in these little tiny houses called the Kid and the Ginger Swan and the Blue Moon and Vicky 1 and Vicky 2 and the Mascot. And you know how it goes. There's a chance to see what it's like, feel what it's like, go in the warehouses, pick all the pieces you want to use, have a chance to go ahead and design, get the design, Space Magic Design by yours truly, Darby, the only Space Magic salvage designer in the world of tiny organic cottages, 95% pure salvage, no trees cut, no glass made with fire, all old glass. All doors made 100 years ago or more. All the windows made back when 12-year-olds dug the coal out of the mines, put it in the fires and stoked them so they could make the glass, so they could make the hardware, which I supply as part of this package. Door hardware, hinges, all that stuff. You have to get some stuff yourself. Of course, you got some skin in the game. You prove you're good, I give you more materials. You might get 10 houses. What would you do? not just give to you. You're going to have to do something for it. The way you have to do it is you have to do something and pay forward, but you also have to come here and get it, help load it, help maybe take it out. I'm going to turn down a warehouse, a giant warehouse. By the time I'm done, if this is successful, I should be able to give away $5 or $6 million worth of Brad's stuff that he said, go for it. Share. So, this is an international program. Why? After a month out there since Valentine's Day, we've been successful at going ahead and shutting down the chance of anybody getting to this pretty much because nobody's hearing about it. Well, that's good because we haven't been too worried. We got 7 different groups already in spite of that. Well-deserving groups that are going to come in here, I think. We may not have 7 all the way. We'll see how they finish out. Because it's not just an essay, guys. Whoever gets this and listens to one video ain't going to get it. I got a bunch of videos. The videos cover a number of things, including an ethos. Yeah. Statements about who can't get it and who can get it and why. Because you're not paying anything. It doesn't cost a penny. There's no membership. There's no rules saying I can't give it to anybody we want to give it to. So Trinity and I are going to go ahead and pick those people out. Now, we're going to take an essay to start, and then it's going to take who's going to be there to help do it, the logistics. I put all this up there in nice little cartoons that anybody in the world could learn how to do this with now. Isn't that nice? It's part of a story. And if the story catches on, imagine if there was 100 outposts by the end of the year instead, or the end of next year. Because I'd rather move faster than slower. I've always been kind of an impatient digital manifestation. You saw what happened to Max Headroom a long time ago. God, he's an old man already, and I'm still already almost old. So I've got to go ahead and hurry up and go all the way around the world with Wibblery and Wub, a world union of beings getting together and creating little sorts of villages where they can be whatever they want to be, free to speak about, care about, and communicate. Dialogue. You come up with solutions and you morph a way of doing a house or doing something. You share it with the rest of us. And if you get materials and you got too many bricks, you share them and we send you over wood. If you got stained glass, we send over whatever you want when you get stained glass. And if we share, there's so much stuff, trillions and trillions of dollars worth of materials sitting around at your fingertips that you can turn into living, into barter, into houses. Bathtubs that could be used for another 100 years. Sinks that have another 200 years of life in them. All this stuff has life left in it, and it was made to last lifetimes. And the reason they want you to throw it away, all those big entities, the big box stores and global corporations, is so that you'll go buy more. They don't want you to salvage it. They got codes that says you can't build with old wood. Why? I can drive a truck across a 2x6 that I can get out of an old house, and a new 2x6 hasn't got a chance. A new 6x6 hasn't got a chance. Because old wood was grown for 1,000 years. It was hard. You can't just drive a nail and you'll bend the nail over. You need a super screws, not even regular screws. They're called Torx heads. Why is this important? If somebody sends a container over here and they come from the Philippines, if they come from anywhere, it costs less to ship a container there than it does to ship a truck from here to Washington State. I could put it on a container over in Houston and take it off in Washington State for less than you can go ahead and drive it across the country. What's the trick? If it's actually, there's all these rules about what you can and can't import, but guess what? If it's trash or it's recycled or if it's architectural antiques or if there's some little loophole, we study loopholeology so we can find out what is the key word that does not have to be inspected or charged or taxed or tariffed. There's all these rules. But for example, if you're going to go down to Mexico and it's trash, they might be able to form into a house that's just trash stacked up in a neat fashion. There's no tariff. But if I went ahead and called it real doors, new windows, new lumber, new siding, and all that stuff, well, there'd be huge tariffs. And you wouldn't be able to take it into like Canada, places like they couldn't afford the tariff. So, any place you can send this, that they're not going to rack you, tax you, take it away. Guess what? If we pack it in and you pay to ship it, I don't mind if it goes around the world before it gets off. an island, you could build 5 houses on an island, and you could build a metal building that you could house the tools in and do your work in, all that. That would all be part of it. You have supplied the pole barn posts. You'd have to supply some 2x stock, dimensional lumber, but all the materials to put on the outside, the siding, the interiors, the windows, the doors, and lots of windows. I've got thousands and thousands of windows to share and distribute all over the world. Now, single pane glass poured back when 12-year-olds took the coal out of the mines, when 12-year-olds did the work of 14-year-olds in America. Yeah. I want to respect that. I want it to last another 100 years. So, it's in Cyprus. The trees were 1,000 years old that made the frames, all hand, mortise and tendon. You know what it costs nowadays to find a tree, let alone to mortise and tendon, if you could find a craftsman who could do it, and machine shops that could do it, which don't exist anymore. If you could. These sashes alone would cost you $250 to $350 a piece. The glass sells for $20 a square foot. There is millions and millions of dollars worth of materials. Lumber went up 500% in price, and that's new junky-ass lumber. This is talking about instead the best quality lumber in the world, cut in a time when the oldest forest, the standing virgin forest of America, was being cut down. The world doesn't understand. We have in America the largest standing virgin forest of longleaf pine, loblolly pine, of anywhere in the world, hidden in America in buildings, barns, and houses. And then we have an enormous amount of redwood and fir, harvested in the 40s after we kicked them out of Texas and made them pay money. The lumber industry didn't have to pay with the dollar bill. They used their own little press and tokens until 1934. You were virtually a slave. You had to live in company housing, buy all your food out of a company store. In 1934, they made it illegal to do that. You had to pay in cash, and the lumber industry went to the Northwest, where they could just kill off the Chinese as they got done using them and not have to keep paying them or take care of them like they did in Texas. Yeah. Delicious history. Why would anybody want to erase that? I'm not responsible for what they did, but I don't want to see it repeated. So the last thing I want to do is erase history. Stop tearing down statues and stuff because it allows us to remember history all over the world. It's important. When I was in Europe and I saw the Gutenberg press, and you understand what the Gutenberg press did to create mass media of the Dark Ages. All of a sudden, somebody could print a book that wasn't censored until King James found them. Then they got censored, as in have your hands cut off, have your head cut off, have your Gutenberg press taken away, and have one more press in your multimedia warehouse where you're doing a lot of the same thing, making copies that are all approved. Now we got the internet. This is horrible. Around the world, you're getting to see this. For the moment, this is Wibblery and Wub. Why? Because it's a harmless little fantasy story about a little guy who goes out around and destined to fail. Epic, destined to fail story. Isn't that cute? You know before you start, I'm giving it away. The only way the story can end good is all you guys join on, peace happens on the planet, and Darby gets old, and you all are part of the book because it's a quantum story. And it ends happily because Darby passes and the book gets finished and it's all peace on earth. That's a quantum story. The story is because out of that young man long time ago that committed suicide to find out the meaning of his life, and God kind of played some games with him and got him to come back and say, hey, I'll take it on. I'll finish it. I'll do it now that I understand what it is, because it looked like hell. I didn't want to stay in hell. It was hell, but you got to turn hell into heaven. That's the challenge. Bring the dead back to life. And so having given that gift to Darby, Rubble is the little earthworm, the avatar, that carries the messages, of course, because what does God look like? Whatever he wants to look like. So in this case, I think he pretty much kind of came to Darby and said, hey, dude, why don't you get back in the fight, man? Here's how you're going to do it. This is your job. It's going to take your lifetime, but this is your job. Imagine that. So the young boy's got a job. His job is what? Go out and do the most spectacular fail you can possibly do. Because you know what your odds are of succeeding with mankind? Peace on earth? A millennium? You know what your odds are? I don't know, God. What are my odds? Well, historically speaking, not so good. In fact, if you're not careful, you just might end up crucified or something. You might end up in trouble. You might end up burned at the stake. You might end up censored, castrated, internet. Cyber guillotine. Chop off your head. Nobody will ever hear you again. That's what's happened on Facebook. That's what's happened on YouTube. I didn't say nothing that bad, did I? Well, we'll know pretty soon. So, artist groups, yes, Shelley. But these are all people. We don't want a bunch of anarchists coming together and creating hell in a new form. We want to go ahead and have a bunch of people who want to go ahead and do functional art, make your art make a statement. I became an earth sculptor. Why? If you look at my earth sculpting, you'll understand. We have water now. We have so much water captured in life. Frogs, birds, fish, where nothing grew. We have cliffs. You can make power, water running downhill, air picking it up, storing it, battery, water in one height is a battery. When you drop it down and capture it, it's weight released, energy. If you use the wind to pick it up, if you use the sun to pick it up and store it at the top, that's a battery. Until you let it come down the hill, it's a battery. So, we know all these things. They've been around forever and ever. Aqueducts and stuff like that, they've been around. So why are we not using them instead of just going out and paying everybody electricity? So if all of you create villages, and some of you are into free energy, and some of you are into super cool food and permaculture, and some of you are into all these different things that I don't have enough time to figure out, and you all get together and communicate, not get censored. And so the groups kind of work together. All these outposts all around the world. These pure salvage outposts. Again, I don't care if you're Hindu. I don't care Hindi. Muslim, Christian. There's so many names of people's faith that I don't even... It's not the concern. The concern is that we all get together and find some way of making a world union of beings. All the beings, sentient beings. My dogs count. My cats count. Whales count. Dolphins count. Gorillas count. Elephants count. You just can't go out and abuse and kill every being that you think is not equal to what a human is, because frankly, in my opinion, I've had better dogs than some of the humans I've known. Much better dogs. Cats. Horses. Actually, any animal I can think of is not as vicious and as mean, heartless, cold as humans. So God determines he wants to save some humans. Well, I'm going to be on there to help 100%. Every one of them he wants to save, I want to give him a chance. I want to give him an opportunity. In whatever language or form or whatever they want to call their God, I'm not concerned so much about that as long as they don't want to come kill me, because I want to give everybody the opportunity to have a peaceful coexistence without how you have a home and how you are free to think and how you're free to worship and how you're free to not wear a mask inside your community or to grow your own food and not have somebody take it away. Those are freedoms that I want to see preserved. In America, it's at risk. And if it's at risk in America, it's at risk all over the world. Australia, New Zealand, by the way, my friends, I'm so sorry to hear your... Oh, my goodness, this is horrible over there. What's going on? But it is, again, the prelude to what's coming. It's not going to get better. It was the Loyalty Islands. Now it's over there. It's going to keep moving. It's going to move over the coast, man. This is volcanoes and everything. This is historic stuff all around the world. So I get a little emotional sometimes, especially this month. On the 10th anniversary of my son's passing, it breaks my heart to see. But somehow, some people think that because tears came to my eyes, that means I'm weak. It breaks their heart to see a man cry. Well, guess what? It wasn't until I cried. It wasn't until I felt with my heart instead of just thinking with my brain. so I could make money, so I could make a legacy for my son, so I could make the money it would take to publish a book I didn't understand because I didn't have this part of me operating. So the book ultimately is still the same game. Why have all this stuff? So that I can give it away. Why did my son have to go? Adam Brad could tell, myself replicated, and I had premonitions, even to the fact it would be in Paris. So that when it happened, my God made it clear to me I had a job to go back and finish. I came to Texas at 29 years old, crippled, self-centered, egotistical, and my son was born. Took the self-centeredness out of it. But I wanted to make $1 million to write a book that I didn't understand about energy of soul and how we manifest it in every thought we have, every wib, every wub, energy of soul, wub, in body, wib. Everything we create has an effect. Every thought we have, every word we utter can help change the world, good or bad. So if you're griping all the time, complaining all the time, moaning, groaning, and expecting sympathy instead of doing something to make the world a better place, then you're part of the problem. I could have griped and moaned and groaned about my broken back for 55 years, my scoliosis, and all the reasons I had to fail, but I didn't. Why? That's my job. If the weakest of all of us that have been beaten, downtrodden, eaten out of dumpsters, the people I have shared the life like that with, I understand, I sympathize. I'm no saint. I am an absolute sinner deluxe through my life. In my youth, I was anything but a saint. My father was in the army. He did horrible things in the name of honor, in the name of patriotism. I was in the army and I didn't have to. It got me back to Germany, where I was born. I moved all my life. I saw the world from South America to Germany to the United States, always the outsider. America has been one of the harshest places as an outsider, as a poor person, as a cripple. And I was lucky. I was good looking. Otherwise, I saw what my contemporaries who weren't, what happened to them. They didn't have faith. They didn't believe. The one thing I do is I have faith. I know in advance. I've asked. I've been told. Will Darby succeed? Can Darby make this happen? Yeah, right. Not a chance. It's a fantasy. It's a story about a poor little kid who makes millions of dollars and goes out to try to give it away and change the world, and they laugh. It's the grandest failure in the world. But in order for it to be that, everybody in the world has to see it. So that's what Wibblery and Wub is about. It's a world union of beings, and Salvage, Texas is the embassy for the intercosmic world unions of beings to meet everybody, to get the word out. It's a broadcasting center. It's a transformational thing. Just go look. See what one man can do to create cliffs 50 foot high. Solutions are nothing more than imagination and the refusal to ask others who don't believe what you can do, if you can do it, before you do it. Just like this. All things out there going to say, you can't publish a book around the world without going through all these editors and Amazon. Yeah, you can. How you going to do that? You can't make no money. It's not for the money. That's the trick. I wouldn't be giving away millions of dollars if I'm trying to write a darn book about giving away millions of dollars in a fantasy world that turns real. just like Salvage Texas, where you can come, sleep, dream, pick up your materials, draw out your space magic designs, take them down the highway inexpensively instead of put together on a truck for $15,000. You can take them back on a trailer and assemble it there. And your place is your home, your paradise. Paradise. Remember that song by that incredible guy from Switzerland, David Paul? He allowed me to use it, and I'm telling you what, it so fits. It really does fit. When you think about it, it's about everybody creating their own paradise, isn't it? It's about in the middle of that storm. How do you do that? This is what it's about.
We never know.
And that's what we want to do.
Whenever it's coming, you'll keep an eye looking
I
out
want to
for
give you
me.
some take
We never know
for your
if
dream.
we meant for it. Get on the road to reach your destiny. Do it for all your dreams, make it happen. It's so amazing.
How long you gonna
Watch
wait?
you come alive. Do it for all your dreams, make it happen.
How long is the world going to wait
This
for
is so
you?
real. Fill it with your love. You say hello, paradise. It's the only kind of feeling that makes you want to fly. You say hello, paradise. The only kind of feeling that makes me feel alive. I won't let you go. I won't let you fall. I won't let you know I love you. Spend time alone, chasing shadows. Was on my own,
Fantasy.
feeling my demise.
I've been there.
Yes, I was blind, and I couldn't see. You were next to me, just standing close to me. Do it for all your dreams, make it happen.
I don't have to be next to you.
To watch you come alive. Do it for all your dreams, make it happen.
Feel it.
This is so
Feel the
real.
song.
Feel it with your love. You say hello, paradise. It's the only kind of feeling that makes you want to fly. You say hello, paradise.
Yours.
The only kind of feeling that makes me feel alive.
Please. Help me.
Won't let you go. Won't let you fall.
Please.
Won't
Get
let
involved.
you know
Do something.
love you.
I haven't got
I
forever.
wanna let you know it's you, my angel now. Finally, we're rising
He's
up.
young.
And I wanna let you know it's you, my angel now. Finally, we're rising up. You say hello, paradise. It's the only kind of feeling that makes you wanna fly. You say hello,
You don't have a paradise.
paradise. The only kind of
Create
feeling
one with
makes
others.
me feel alive. I won't let you go.
You can't do it
Won't
alone.
let you fall. Won't let you know.
Really.
Love you.
It's so important. This song's really cool. He just put it out. He let me use this song. It's not all tied up in corporate copyrights and stuff. So it's still available. It's so important to put out music. It's so important to put out writing. It's so important to put out art that I don't have to make money on. The houses I built for patrons that could pay $40,000, $50,000 a house to $160,000 for the one. Best per casa. People that have the money can afford to spend the money to make beautiful things happen. And as an artist, make functional art, please. I want Artist Village to create houses you can live in for the rest of your life. Furniture. Everything you should need. Instead of disrespecting the past, make the future out of the best of the past. That's art that has meaning, history, heritage. It represents thousands of years, not some new goopy, crappy thing that's all chemicals and toxic. Most of you, this is not something you don't want, but how do we make peace with people that don't care? How do we make peace with people that don't feel me? These eyes, M-I-I, these eyes, and my third eye, and we, all of you eyes, and me together, all of us eyes, W-I-I, the we of how are we, the ones who want peace, the ones who want to come up with solutions. How are we going to form the communities to be the examples and then exemplify and give them attention and spread the word around that Wibblery, the idea of just a small language of 13 words saying how we communicate through touch. We're going to get rid of touch. With all the masks and all the rubber, we're not going to be able to hug and kiss and care. They're telling people they're supposed to wear masks to go to bed now with each other in UK. That's crazy. Wobbling is how you communicate. Energy soul, wub, through touch. It's a form of communication through touch. There's wibbling, mind to mind. You communicate mind to mind. You have telepathy with people you love. When you think, oh, I wish she'd call me right now, and then lo and behold, she calls you. Or, oh my God, I'm feeling something's wrong with mom. Call her. Check her out. Oh, sure as heck. That's telepathy. It's wibbling. You take a thought, a wib, wub, embody, I, embody, is a wib. And a wib in body form, living, is W capital I capital B. But in just a thought is a wib. And you can transmit that wib through wibbling. Now, if I webble, I'm webbling right now. You guys are seeing me on the web. Anywhere in the universe, it can be transmitted. If I'm on the web, how do you know I'm not on Alpha Centauri? You don't have a clue if I'm even alive now. I could be CGI digital, and they could be swapping all my lips now because they could capture this film and change my drawings and change my voice and change my name and change my lips. And you don't know if I didn't do that already. How do you know I'm not real, right? I look real. Around the world someplace. Think about this. If you see this, you can send in an essay. You can get in touch. You can go online. It costs you nothing. And if you win, you have to figure out how to get it there. Logistics. I write about all these things. I tell people how you can get there. Ship, trucks, trailers. How are we going to get there? A little bit at a time. We get you 1 or 2 houses. You build that. I get you more. You don't have to take it all at once. 5 houses at once. You don't even have space to store it in. So we give you what it takes to go set up the first outpost, place to build in, and the first couple houses. We teach you how to put this together by giving you the materials for the people that are going to do it right, the responsible people, the groups of kids that want to come together that don't have good parents. Groups of kids like my son that were out there looking in the world to try to find a way to put together a better world because they thought what they had coming was sucked. And he was a musician, traveling, rainbow festivals and the things that kids do that I told him, son, you're young. Go do what you want to do. And he did. He just didn't come home. But he did what I always wanted to do and couldn't. I worked my ass off. The book you're looking at, the drawings, they started when I was 25. When I decided I wasn't going to die because I thought I was going to die at 25. And then I didn't die, so I thought, well, I better write this book. I started writing it. Didn't understand it. Didn't understand the premonitions why I didn't die. Forgot about it. So I named Adam, my firstborn, and Brad Cattell, the father. And you'll only hear this a few times. Why Brad Cattell? At 25, of course, he died. And I had premonitions that it would be in Paris. Couldn't stop him from going there. Of course. Now, why does stuff like that happen? So that you learn. So that your heart will open up. Because without your heart working, your brain isn't worth doggy-doo. Anger is not a good way to do the world. And I can't be angry about what happened. I don't know why he ended up the river as a lifeguard and drowned in Paris. I do know that if it hadn't been for friends in the CIA, I may never found out. He would have been a John Doe. But luckily, I found out and got to go see him before he was cremated. Now, there's lessons we learn in life for major reasons we don't understand. But I'll tell you this. This is a gift to those of you who are going to listen to this and know that fantasy can become reality. That if a man has a dream, like Martin Luther King or John F. Kennedy, that people will stand up for that, like me, still believe in what he had to say, to put down that dark government, to execute Executive Order number 57, to shut down the CIA and the FBI, to do things like that in a fantasy world of conspiracy nuts that didn't believe that one bullet could fly out of a gun and bounce around and hit a bunch of people and fall out on a gurney and still look like a lead bullet. They've been pulled out carefully. Some things just never make sense. They're fantasies, and fantasies like you have when somebody gets elected and you go, how did 157 million people vote when you only have 137 million people in the country that are registered to vote? There's something wrong. In Denmark. So, hey, guys in Denmark, could you go ahead and tell them what the heck it is? Because they can't seem to figure it out over here in America. We got a problem. So, Wibblery and Wub's it's a fantasy. It's a harmless little story with 13 little words called Wibblery about how you can communicate through webbling. And wibbleizing, by the way, the last one is wibbleizing. And if you wibbleize, you create something that you can send all over the world, like music, art. That's wibbleizing. That's creating something out of the expression of soul, creating something that changes the way others look at the world somehow. And if you do it right, you can change the way others look at the world in a very positive and peaceful way. That's wibblery. Now, if we establish a bond between us, that's wublock. And wub, energy of soul, locks together. That's not just that's not earth. That's off into the other realms. That's a bond where if you're at my back and we're at war, and you got a sword and I'm defending your back, if I get a sword in my back, I mean, you went dead already. You couldn't defend me. You died trying. Not that you ran away. Not that you got upset. Not that you said, oh, no, you don't want to surrender. I do, and stab me in the back. No. Wublock, not wedlock, contract, rip off your husband, that kind of thing. No, I've been there, done that. No, this is wublock. So we, all of us, eyes together with an honor, a code of honor and truth, only truth. You can't have love, you can't have God, you can't have friendship, you can't have anything, and especially not a community, without truth. So if you want to build a village based on truth, you can call your God by any name. I am not trying to determine all those things. I'm trying to give you the tools, the means, the houses, and what it takes to grow your peaceful belief system into a world where we can all communicate and share our peaceful villages without war, without attacking each other, without stealing each other's food, because we grow so much on our own places that we can share it. Please, help me share a fantasy story about a young boy who goes off to do what he's doomed to never succeed at. Trying to build a world union of beings who want peace for all the critters, all the creatures, all the sentient beings, not just humans. No. Live more simple, live better. Live it by salvaging. Live it by preserving what we have for the children that are going to be born instead of throwing it in the dumps. Live it by not poisoning and toxing everything. Please. Now, if anybody has any questions, I put my email down. I try to go ahead and let people know how to get hold of me. Really. I only have so much time. All of us only have so much time.
Comes to many things, not just
Stop wasting it.
beings.
That ship up on the hill,
Soul, as well as
the ship of salvage dreams, took me 11 evenings, 3 stories high. The highest point from near the Gulf of Mexico, 140 miles
Not
away.
be afraid.
Fantasy.
Quit killing new and save
All made
the
with
old.
trash.
Build homes to last, those strong
Screws.
and small.
No
Serve your
nails.
power, water too. Quit wasting all, think old, not new. I sing the song of salvage and I sing it here to you.
Shit.
Tune, I'll keep on singing till I cast my lasting spell.
I'm not going to do a lot more
Sing the
videos. I have so
song
much
of
work to
salvage
do.
and I
I have to
sing it here to
distribute,
you.
design.
For I
help.
know that if you listen,
I need more
you
help.
will
Nobody's ever
see the
contributed
song
a
is
dollar.
true.
Nobody's ever contributed anything other than sarcasm and doubt. That's why Darby can't. That's why Darby inevitably can't succeed. It's a great story. It's still worth reading. It may not end for another 20, 30 years. It's a quantum story where you, all of you, will determine how many of the pure salvage outposts Darby was able to create when all the volcanoes had already started, when all the earthquakes had started, and everybody was put in a position where they had to stop and think and change and figure out what kind of world they wanted to leave behind, just in case their behind gets cooked. Make your peace. Show your love. What, are you going to save all your wealth for what? You better save it for a community. You better save it to create somebody, because you can't guard it all by yourself 24 hours a day. And if you got it and everybody else does it and shit hits the fan and you don't have anybody that loves you, who are you going to call for help? Not me. I'm here to help people that other people love, other people want to help, and form communities with. Peaceful people, friendly people. Help me out. Thank you. You have all the greatest day you can. I love y'all. Really.